Down goes Canada. Down goes Canada.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Seattle hockey fans, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Erica L. Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken, also a contributor at CBS Sports, where I write mostly about women's basketball, a little bit of NHL, definitely some Olympics, have my first softball assignment. So we're doing a bunch of stuff there. It's super exciting. I also have seasonal allergies. So if you see me rubbing my eyes and nose, I probably shouldn't do that, but I definitely will do that for those watching on YouTube as I work through some of the sinus congestion. But I'm going to push through for an episode here, a late night episode here. I am fresh off of a kickball game, but happy to be here because catching up on all of the scores and the Hockey Canada men's national team at IIHF World Championships were upset by Denmark. 2-1 was your final score. Denmark scoring 2 goals in the final frame to advance over Canada. And, we, of course, have a vested interest in Denmark, as well as, of course, the Hockey Canada team. Hockey Canada features Brandon Montour as well as Riker Evans. And then for Denmark, one of the Kraken prospects in Oscar Fisker Mølgaard. Now, we didn't see any member of the Kraken, future or otherwise, contribute in this particular game. We did see some Kraken players contribute elsewhere. A tough loss. Sidney Crosby, captain of the team, was asked about the game, of course, after the stunning loss in the quarterfinals. This is what we heard from Crosby. I'm disappointed. We got better as the tournament went on. I don't think tonight was necessarily our best, but we still found a way to give ourselves a lead. And it was a pretty tough environment here, a road game. We got the lead and we're in a pretty good spot, but it turned pretty quickly. So the home crowd giving Denmark a little bit of help here. And so Sidney Crosby saying things turned quickly. Well, Crosby got the primary assist on the Travis Sanheim goal, which started the scoring, at the 45-minute mark in the third frame. Sidney Crosby got the primary assist on the Travis Sanheim goal that got things going in the third period, late in the third period. But then, about 12 minutes later, deep into the game, you get Nikolai Ehlers and Nick Olsson, who get the 2 goals that move Denmark into the semifinals. I mean, really, truly a shocker for this Canadian team. They being Denmark, were able to push aside the offensive threat coming loud, fast, furious from the Canadian side. If you look at the game summary total and the shot charts, you can see that, Canada in this game definitely got a lot of shots up. In the first period alone, Canada outshot Denmark 18, I believe it was, to 4. Yes, 18-4 in the first frame, 12-7 in the second frame, and then it was Denmark that outshot Canada 22-10 in the third frame but 40 shots for Canada overall. When you look, though, again, it was those last 2 goals for Denmark that secured it. Jordan Binnington in net for Canada, and made 31 saves on 33 attempts from Denmark. So definitely a shocker there. Elsewhere in the IIHF tournament, we see the United States. They get a win in that game. It was, let's see, Eli Tolvanen did score for Finland, but it was Connor Garland, Zeev Bulliam, Connor Garland again, and Shane Pinto and Clayton Keller that get the goals for the United States. The goal from Zeev Bulliam, primary assist, Maddie Beniers. So Bulliam is someone I wanted the Seattle Kraken to draft. They did not, but alas, I guess we get over it. 5-2 is the win for the United States. They will advance to the semifinals. Other teams, Sweden over Austria, 6-0. Or excuse me, Switzerland over Austria, 6-0. Sweden over Czechia, 5-2. We also have some mutuals from the Kraken in this game. Of course, the one and only Adam Larsson in this game didn't get on the score sheet this time around, but will take the win. That is, of course, Team Sweden. And then, of course, that 2-1 win over Denmark over Canada. So tomorrow is a rest day, and then we will see Sweden versus the United States. Now, Jeremy Swayman started the last game against Finland. We have been seeing the goaltenders for the United States alternate. Does that mean we will get to see Joey Decord versus Sweden? I sure would love to see it. Denmark taking on Switzerland. Those are your 2 semifinal matchups. And then the medal games happen the very next day on Sunday, the 25th. So stick around here on Locked On Kraken. We will keep you up to date with men's IIHF World Championships. Coming up next, though, we know who isn't, or at least shouldn't be, the next Seattle Kraken head coach. But what are we kind of learning, even from guys who have taken jobs elsewhere? What do we maybe know about what the Seattle Kraken are looking for in their next head coach? We'll talk about that coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. We know it's playoff season through and through. Oof, Knicks fans, how we feeling? And because the NBA playoffs are in full swing, every night delivers highlight-worthy performances. That bounce, Halliburton, you got so lucky with that bounce. Major momentum shifts and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before the tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Now, here's what I love about FanDuel is that they're also getting involved in women's sports as well. PWHL odds you can look up. You can look up WNBA odds. There's some big games this weekend against Phoenix Mercury and the Las Vegas Aces for your Seattle Storm. So check out those odds. And if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association and us here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this late night episode of Locked On Kraken, and apologies if I sound a little congested. It's because I am. Allergy season is alive and well here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But I'm grateful to be here with you for another episode of Locked On Kraken. We talked about, a stunner, Hockey Canada out of the men's championship after winning 4 nations. So what does that mean? I mean, I was talking to someone about this earlier today, and they were like, well, I guess we assume that the people who made the 4 Nations tournament are going to make the Olympic team. And I was like, oh, hey, ho, not so fast. Let's not forget these IIHF teams were put together closest to the people who are, making decisions for the federation, not just for a team that's representing a country that was put together by the NHL. So will we see discrepancies? Is that why we're seeing different performances here? I mean, it's really interesting. You also have to think it's worth noting that, of course, there are not all players available because the NHL playoffs is still happening. So how is that impacting some of these teams? You could go on and on and on. So many hypotheticals. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what these lineups are going to look like for the Olympics. Expecting NHL players, of course, to return to the Olympics. But let's return to a conversation that we had a little bit earlier in the week regarding coaching. I told you it's not time for Jessica Campbell. Not yet. I stand by that. I hope that she stays the course, continues to get really great reps, and whether it's with the Kraken or someone else at the AHL level, I would love to see it. I have also seen some people say that Jessica Campbell needs to be named the head coach of PWHL Seattle. I'll just put it this way. Just because a woman coaching for the Seattle Kraken, who played, of course, women's ice hockey at a very elite level, is in the Seattle area, doesn't mean that it's the right move for her career, certainly not monetarily, to then just go and coach a women's team. Maybe it is the right choice for Jessica Campbell. Maybe it's not. But let's not just assume that that's a choice that she wants to make at this point in time. And I think it still stands. What head coaching experience do you have? Because she'd be coaching against people that have had some experience. Anyway, I digress. We're talking about coaching because we saw some reports, TSN among other places, saying that the Seattle Kraken, have been granted permission to speak with Toronto Maple Leafs associate coach Lane Lambert for their head coaching vacancy. That's from Darren Dreger from TSN Hockey. And Lane Lambert, what do we know about Lane Lambert? Obviously, with Toronto, just eliminated a few days ago from the playoffs. He's worked on the penalty kill in a few places, a few stops along the way, if you will. Some of those, in addition to Toronto, included the Nashville Predators, the Washington Capitals, was the head coach for the New York Islanders before being replaced. He was, after 2 seasons, I suppose, or from 2022 to 24, 61, 46, and 20 as Islanders head coach, reached the playoffs in 2023. They missed out, they had a first round exit. Lambert, penalty kill is what I see as a through line. Has had a few different stops, not very long stops as a head coach. So that's something I find interesting. So Jeff Blazehill, another assistant coach with the Tampa Bay Lightning as of this past season, considered a very serious contender, but also, or I should say, rumored to be associated with the Seattle Kraken head coaching search, but also connected perhaps with the Blackhawks and considered by some their, quote, likely pick in Chicago. runs the PK in Tampa Bay. So that's a through line. I think what also we're hearing is that the feelers that the Kraken seem to be putting out about the head coaching search are they're maybe a step or two behind, or not the desired destination among some people that they are considering finalists. Not surprising to me to some extent. I've talked about this. My everydayers, that I have a lot of concerns. We talked about Mitch Marner. Would that be a good contract to take up? I mean, I don't even know how you have a conversation about a free agent like that, given that there's so many questions that we still just don't have answers to when it comes to the design, the vision, the way of communicating, and, what the crap went wrong. I'm assuming that it's more than an assumption, right? The Seattle Kraken think what went wrong was Dan Bylsma. Didn't have a great start. Would have liked to see more, but that's just me. If there was some miscommunication, folks couldn't get their egos out of the way, I don't know. It just seems that the more and more I think about this, again, power struggle. I say it every day, OGers, you're probably tired of hearing me talk about it. But finding a person that can be nimble while also being able to be firm enough to instruct a roster, I would imagine is difficult. For whatever reason, didn't feel that Dan Bylsma was any longer the right pick. I don't know if there were opportunities to have a conversation about what could change, and was there some stubbornness from Dan? I don't know if that was Dan given a chance to have a conversation, say, hey, let's fix this? Was it something that required just an immediate, cut it off? But now I have a lot of questions as to what the Seattle Kraken are really looking for and how much autonomy this next head coach is going to have. Putting aside the fact that I do really want to see a successful career for Jessica Campbell, and we've seen this before for the Seattle Kraken, so I do want to preface that. But keeping a coach from a previous administration, right? From a previous coaching staff, that becomes a situation where do the loyalties lie? Can everyone play in the sandbox together? And, you want to say, oh, we're all adults. This is professional hockey. These things. Of course they happen. Of course they happen. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I just think that, the Seattle Kraken don't seem to be getting what they want. And I'm not even sure I understand exactly what it is they need, because there are just so many needs. And I'm not clear on what was wrong exactly with Dan Bylsma as to why he couldn't continue on. But I'm assuming it has something to do with communication, either from the coaching staff to the front office and vice versa, or from the coaching staff to the roster and vice versa. The latter point, coach to players, players to coach. I mean, it seemed that's likely. Obviously, it got to a point with the Seattle Kraken where they needed to move on. So I don't know. Lasil or Lambert. What it does seem, though, like the Seattle Kraken are looking into, at least, is someone with expertise on specialty teams, and in particular the penalty kill, which I find interesting. Now, special teams weren't great, so we'll take all of the help that we can get. But if I personally were prioritizing, I would want someone who has a expert ability to get a power play coordinated, or just offense overall. And this is coming for my everydayers. You know how much I love defense. You know how much I hate fundamentally unsound defense. And I'm here to tell you that we need someone that is going to invigorate the offense. At least that's how I see it. Let me know in the comments. Do we need a content expert, so to speak, as a head coach, or can some of that come through the assistant coaches? Are we okay with getting someone that's most recently been an assistant coach, but also has that head coach experience? So many questions, not enough answers. Coming up next on Locked On Kraken, let's talk a little bit about the Kansas City Mavericks on the ropes. Got to get a win this weekend if they want to keep the season alive. And thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Erica Ayala here again, a little sniffly, a little sneezy. My eyes are watering and burning. Allergy season is upon us and is hitting me hard. But grateful to be here on another episode of Locked On Kraken. Talked about IIHF Canada upset by Denmark. Woo-wee. But the United States advances, Sweden advances. Ellie Tolvanen did score in the quarterfinal game, but unfortunately was knocked out by the United States. But great tournament for Tolvi. Super proud of him. Grubauer eliminated alongside Germany. So we'll just have to come back when we know who is competing for gold in the gold medal game. Wanted to switch gears over to the ECHL. Toledo got the game 4 win. They were able to win the game 4-1, scoreless through the first 20 minutes. The Walleye scored 3 goals in the second stanza. Even though Kansas City got one back, they also gave up one in the third frame. That's all she wrote. The Toledo Walleye now lead the series 3-1, meaning that the Kansas City Mavericks have to win out if they want to get to the finals. Shots on goal, 44-19. Shot percentage for both teams, sub 10%, 9% to be exact for the Walleye, 5% for your Kansas City Mavericks. 6 power plays for the Mavs, 5 power plays for the Walleye. 40 saves. Jack LaFontaine is just, good grief. Whew. Doing a lot. Extra time, hard work, hard minutes for the netminder for the Kansas City Mavericks. The goals scored, Luke Lonheit from Landon McCullum was the goal for the Kansas City Mavericks. Tough way to lose. I said I wanted the team to focus on some of, the stronger parts of their game, their transition, being able to utilize the power play, and get some momentum. That just didn't happen. And now Kansas City finds themselves in a position where they are on the brink of elimination. And you hate to see it, because if if the Kansas City Mavericks are out of it, then there goes our attachment to the 2025 postseason. Excuse me. I mentioned 6 power play opportunities for Kansas City. They scored 1 power play. They gave up 1 power play as well. 44-19, the shots. I mean, not only, so the game sheet's a little bit different from what I saw from the summary, but not only are you making LaFontaine see 44 shots after carrying this team through the playoffs, but you get sub 20 shots on goal yourself. They more than doubled up the amount of shots. I mean, puck possession, seems like, a thing that if I had to guess that Tad is talking to the team about, because those numbers are not great. I don't like it. I don't like it. The next game, Saturday, May 24th at Toledo. So if Kansas City can win this game, not only do they keep the series going, but they get to go back home on Monday, May 26th is game 6, but they have to get it done in game 5 on the road. They have to win road games because they dropped those 2 home games. So there you go. We hope Kansas City Mavericks can do that for sure. And before we head out of here, I haven't done this in a little bit, but of course, you should listen to the Locked On NHL channel because, well, on upcoming, we have another episode of the Women's Hockey Report, but also it's the NHL game night. So they've been keeping you up on all of the tabs for the playoffs. And, we have the Western Conference Finals between Dallas and Edmonton, the Eastern Conference Finals between Florida and Carolina. Florida up 2-0 on Carolina. Yeah. Carolina was looking good in that Washington series. Now they trail 2-0 against the Panthers. Dallas up on Edmonton 1 game. They've only played the 1. So we'll see what happens there. Do we have a rooting interest? No, nope, not really. I mean, no, I don't have a rooting interest. Let me know, though. Are you rooting for a specific team other than, of course, the Kansas City Mavericks? Let me know in the chat. I am going to make sure to clear out my sinuses. A reminder, though, to stay healthy, drink plenty of water, but be kind to yourself and to others. And we hold fast, we stay true, we say loud and proud. Let's go Firebirds. Let's go Mavericks. And of course, let's go Kraken. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.